This is a demonstration of Lab 4, which consists of queries and thematic maps. First thing we need to do is launch Internet Explorer. I'm going to launch the virtual client, log in. This is the same screen that you should be getting when you log in. Takes just a moment to load the desktop, depends on bandwidth, depends on how many students are accessing the virtual computer lab at the same time. You might get messages about color scheme, things like that, that has to do with your video card. While that's loading, in this particular demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make layout windows. Layout windows are the final deliverable in a GIS. GIS is not a mapping program, but quite often what you produce is a map as at least a partial final product. And from now on, including screenshots, I would like you to provide layout windows with well-constructed maps that comply in some way to the cartographic principles that we've discussed so far, which would be they have to have a scale bar, a legend, a north arrow, and that's basically it. Some sort of a map title. Okay, let's launch Internet Explorer in this and go to AUN. And we'll log on to Blackboard. And I'm going to go to the Blackboard landing page, Learning Modules. We're going to click on Lab 3, Save As. As you know, we need to put that in the computer on the C drive in a new folder with your surname. I noticed that, interestingly, that still has Lab 3 in there. Shouldn't have done that, except I think they might have given me special privileges. So we're going to get in Lab 4 and save the lab there. Just minimize this. Open up a C drive and take a look at what's in the folder. You know, you have to double left click on this. Control A selects all, Control C copy, go back to the lab folder itself, Control V to paste those items in there. Then we can right click and delete the zip file out of there. Remember that all the work that you do for a GIS lab exercise has to be placed in a folder, your surname, lab number, on the C drive of the virtual desk space. If you're working on your computer in a version of GeoMedia 6.1 or 2013, it has to go on your C drive on your computer in a folder. Everything in that folder must be zipped up So you right click on the folder itself at the end of your work and zip it up. So send it to a compressed file, and that's what you email to me as an attachment in Blackboard. Okay, let's double left click and take a look at the lab. So what we have here, having a little clicker issue tonight. There must be some quite a few folks using up the bandwidth because it's a little bit choppy tonight. Okay. What I want to bring your attention to is on the back. There's a list for river cities and latitude and longitude. This is for a spatial query, and it's item 11, list on the back of the sheet the name and latitude and longitude for all cities situated within 2 miles of the Mississippi or Allegheny River. So I'll show you how to do a spatial query like that with a filter option. Basically, the rest of this lab is just doing queries and thematic maps. So you're going to make quite a few of those up. It also tells you how to make layout windows and make those windows static. When you first create a layout window, it's dynamic. So every time you make a change in the map window that it's related to, those changes are going to show up in the layout window. This item 10, construct as many maps as you need to investigate whether there is a correlation between median age by gender, male or female, by county, and environmental factors such as average annual temperature, rainfall. So what you're going to do there is you're probably not going to solve that problem, but what I want to see is your ability to think through a problem and look for any sort of evidence that you can put in the GIS to test whether or not there is any correlation between median age by gender, by county, and environmental factors that are included in US sample data. Okay, so that's what we have for the lab. We'll minimize that, and the only other file you have in there is US sample data. We put that in there so that you don't mess up in any way the original copy of that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to double left click on the blue G and launch GeoMedia Professional. And we're going to open up a blank Geo workspace. We can maximize that. And we want to get our toolbars in order. So I only want to see in your labs a toolbar to the left, a toolbar to the right, and 2 rows of toolbars on the top, and a map window that takes up all of the space. Do not maximize this. I want to see this blue bar above that. First thing we're going to do is make a connection to US samples. So warehouse, left click on new connection. It's access. We want to name that US sample. Browse. We're not going to take this one. That's in the default warehouses folder. We're going to go to the C drive. C drive. We're going to go down to our lab folder. Fortunately for me, my surname begins with W. I'm at the bottom all the time. You'll have to wade up in that file structure somewhere. Open. Okay. And then we're going to create a new warehouse. So warehouse, new warehouse. At this particular window, it's just asking us what template we want to use. We want to just say new normal. Here, it's asking us where to save it and what to name it. We go back to our folder on the C drive. And we're going to name it theme states, I think. Yeah, let's name it theme states. Okay, at this particular point, all I want to do really is for this demo, I'm going to output counties and states and rivers. I think maybe I'll do cities too, to this warehouse that we created. So it's warehouse, left click on output to feature classes. We'll expand US sample. We want cities, counties, rivers, and states. Let's go ahead and take interstates as well. The target is theme states. That makes sense. When we left click on the advanced, these are the target feature class names. They look fine to me. And display target feature classes in map window. Let's click OK. And that's just telling us we're going to get 5 feature classes output to theme states. Output is complete. OK. At this particular point, I'm going to go to warehouse connections, and I mined US sample for everything I think I'm going to need. So I'm going to left click at that black arrow to highlight this connection, and I'm going to delete it. This just to give you a warning that if there's anything in the legend entries that derives from this particular connection, it's going to be gone. Queries and all that, you just say yes and close. If something disappeared in here, then you were connected to US sample and using that to display. I'm going to double left click on cities. They're too large. Take them down to 3. Hello. Really having clicker issues here. Apply. Okay. Counties. Can't have a green boundary. Let's make that black. And let's try and change the width to 0.025. Apply. Okay, that makes them nice and thin. Interstates, we'll make them red. Apply. Rivers should be blue. And finally, states boundaries, make them black as well. And change the width of those to 0.025. Apply. Okay. All right, so there's the United States. If we wanted to put a label below this, we would have to create a text feature. If you go to Warehouse, Feature Class Definition, and we expand that, you notice there's no text feature in there. So let's go ahead and add a text feature by left-clicking on the New button. And we'll call this feature Map Label, something nice and generic, underscore label. By now you should know that you can have spaces, and it's not a point feature, it's a text feature. Click OK. All this does, this comes up every time this pop-up. It just says that GeoMedia is going to generate a primary key of auto number data type, and you say yes, because you don't want to deal with that. Now we have a map label in there. Let's go ahead and insert text. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out so I have a little bit of space, right click. You'll notice I'm back in the text. If you zoom out, if you use any of these few, zoom out, zoom in, a fit all I think will not do it, but pan will bring you back to whatever the operation is you're going to handle. If we left click here, go down to theme states, there's only one text feature, it's map label. We're going to override the style. We'll make it about 18, and we'll make it Times New Roman, so you can start typing it in there until you get it. I'm going to left click in the text box, bring my pointer or bullseye down here and type the United States. and left click to place it. Click OK. You'll notice that it's still there. Hit the escape key. Now I think that's too much, so I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to go up to Edit, Text, Edit Text. 18 is too large. Let's get it down to about 14. Better. So now I change it to 14. If I want to highlight it again, I can come over here to the left bar and left click there, and I can kind of move it around. The minute I let go, it's placed. So we'll leave that right there. Now we can fit all, and you'll notice that it includes the United States in the map window. That means that United States is actually a feature. We're going to view. Oops, I turned off the legend. So there's your legend back. View, north arrow. I'm fine with that. View, scale bar. I'm not good with that. It's in kilometers, so intervals in units. In the United States has to be miles. And let's go ahead and change the font. It says Arial. We're going to go Times New Roman. And it's not going to be bold. It's going to be regular. Click OK. Style. We're going to change that to double block. Labels. We need to just fix the font on them. We can't have Arial and Times New Roman, so Times New Roman again. And change that to regular. OK. OK. Didn't get the double block in there. There you go. So now we have our map in the map window, the United States for a label, north arrow and scale bar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare this to put in a layout window. First thing I'm going to do is turn off cities. You right click, display off to turn off cities. I'm going to zoom out one click in the center of the United States. That's going to give me enough space to draw a nice box around this and place it in the layout window. Now, if I go to Window, Show Layout Window, and left click, there's my layout window. And I'm going to make this a little bit larger. And you notice when I did that, this toolbar disappeared because it's inappropriate for what we're doing. If I go to File and go down to Page Setup, you'll notice that this toolbar is now for the layout window. It's Sheet. It's an A size 8.5 by 11. Let's change it to Landscape by left-clicking in that radio button and click OK. Then if we click Fit All, now we have this nice large page that we can work with. Now, under Insert, you'll notice that the only option I really have here is Map or Object. So I'm going to left click on Map, and it's going to ask me which map window. We only have one, map window 1. The method we're going to use is we're going to draw a rectangle around the features we want. It's going to be dynamic, in the sense that if we make a change in the map window, there's a dynamic link between map and layout window, and whatever changes are made in the map window will be reflected in the layout window. So we're going to left click OK and be transported instantly back to the map window. Now you'll notice that I have my pointer again with the snap tolerance. Now this is a little different than drawing a fence and selecting things, in that what I'm going to do is left click and let go and draw my box around whatever I want in the map window. I'm going to cut off the United States. And what I'm trying to do, if you look at the right boundary, I'm trying to kind of provide about the same boundary all around. Once I am happy with what I do, I left click, and now I'm transported back to the layout window, and I'm going to line up those two so they're about similar, left click, and then grab a hold of this and pull it down. That's not what I wanted to do. We're really having some issues with mouse tonight. There you go. Left click and hold and draw it down until we have about matching margins right and left, and let go. Now, I can right click in there and go map pan as long as it's highlighted, and I can push up the map just a little bit. Very carefully push up the map a little bit. And right click. And then what I can do is come down here. I'm not in the map anymore, and that's a crop tool. I can push that up because I want this margin in the bottom to be larger. And then I'm going to click outside. So now I have a nice neat line around here with the map inside. And you'll notice that I still can only insert a map until I left click to highlight the frame. Now I can insert a north arrow. So I'm going to left click on the north arrow. And it looks okay. There's the north arrow. I'm going to place that down there. But it looks too big, so I'm going to left click, and what I can do is just adjust the size of that. And I think what I'm going to do, because I know where I'm going to have to put a legend, I'm going to move that over here and put it up inside the map. Okay, so I have that. Now I want to put in a scale bar, insert. Ooh. It's all grayed out because I haven't highlighted this. Left click to highlight, insert, and we'll put a scale bar. You're going to have to make all the decisions again for the scale bar. You can move these windows outside, by the way. Click on properties, and let's do double block. Labels. We're going to have to redo the font again, Times New Roman. And we'll regular, and let's do about an 8 on that. Intervals and units, we still have to get back to miles. Font, Times New Roman 8 again, without the bold, so regular, and it is 8. Okay, okay, and that's what it's going to look like, and we can put that, well, let's do it right here. I don't like that. Pull it down a little bit, right there. So there's your scale bar. Now, let's go ahead and put a label in here. You'll notice there's a label in the map window. I would go back to the map window by left clicking and turn this off because we really don't want two labels. And then you can click on window, layout window, and get back to your layout window. Let's put a label in here. We do that by left clicking on this text icon here. Here it's Arial. We're going to change it to Times New Roman. And here, I don't know if you can click or not. No. What we're going to have to do here, let's try this one more time. Yep. We're going to have to scroll down. So these work a little bit different. I'm going to scroll down here to Times New Roman, and we'll make it about 18 point here. So left click right there. And that's it. Click on the arrow, and then you can highlight this and move it around to where you would like. You'll notice that 18 point font looks different here than it does up in the layout window. That brings out an interesting point. Now what I could do is get inside there and get this all highlighted if I can do it. And go up here, and let's make this a little larger. Just make it 20. Get it centered in there. I'm a stickler about this. Okay, doesn't look too bad. All right, so now you have the United States. So let's go back to our map window and let's make a thematic. So let's go up to legend, add thematic legend entry. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do a range thematic of states. And let's map annual average temperature. Okay. And we're going to left click to classify. Let's do equal count. And let's do 48, 6 times 8. So let's go 8 to the 48. You'll notice the beginning value is 35.9, the ending value is 70.9. Click OK. Double left click here. And let's fix that by making it black and 0.025 for the weight thinner. And since we're doing temperature, a colder temperature is blue, and let's make it that color. And the hotter temperature, red. And let's ramp the colors. So there's our state temperature annual. And let's go ahead and add labels to this. So insert labels. And we're going to label states, so we want state names. Scroll down to state name. And we want it center, center. Since we're working in Times New Roman, everything has to be Times New Roman. Now here's where you have to make some decisions. When you're labeling in the map window and it's going to be over into the layout window, you might want to keep it a little bit small. I think 4 might be okay. Let's click OK and OK. And let's go back to the layout window and see what that looks like. Doesn't look too bad. A little bit small on the labels, but I'm okay with it for now. It illustrates the point. So you notice that now what you're looking at is you're looking at the thematic map. So what we could do is we could left click and we could go United States, enter, and we could put average annual, or just put average temperature. And if we highlight this and go up here, we can center that. Okay, so the United States average temperature. We could probably put by state in there if we had smaller text, but I'm going to leave it like that for now, just demoing. And what we need to do is click here now and get a legend in here. So insert legend. There's the legend. Now, there are some things about this that we need to do. First of all, if we hit legend and left click on the properties button, legend will be centered. The font has to be Times New Roman, and it's listed as regular 12. We'll leave it at that. And the font for the names has to be Times New Roman. Those are all those items in there. Regular. And let's go ahead and make them about an 8. And then we don't need counties. We're not showing them. So I'm going to highlight counties and delete. Highlight interstates, hit delete. Oops. Leave rivers and delete. And leave the state's boundaries. Now, honestly, we could probably get rid of that as well. Okay, so this looks good. I'm happy with this. Ooh, labels of states. We really don't need that. Delete that as well. Click OK. Now you notice I have a box. Left click. That's my legend. I'm going to go ahead and make it a little smaller, and see if it'll fit in here. Actually, I can pull this down to right there. So there's my legend. Now, I'm happy with this. The only other thing I might want to do is put my name on the map. So I'll left click in text. We're at Times New Roman 18. Let's go down to small, like 8 or 7. And I'll left click right there and put my name. And I'm going to zoom in by going up here to the zoom down to the corner, right click, and I'm going to hit the A to get out of the text entry mode. Oh, I'm sorry, the arrow. Then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to move this up right to there. Kind of line it up. Let go. And fit all. Puts everything in line. Let's clean everything up with the refresh. And that looks pretty good. The only other thing I could do is, you know what? I could left click this, move it up just a hair, and put a box around it by going into the shape file here and clicking on the box. And let's just draw a box around there. And let's draw one. No, it's not. So I'm okay with that. That makes it nice and neat. By the way, if you screw up on this box, you know, you can click that box, and in the properties, you don't want to fill it. So you just want a boundary, okay? So that looks good. Now, I'm happy with that. You're going to be making up a lot of these windows, one layout sheet for every map you make in this lab. So what we're going to do, if I right click on that sheet down there, the tab, and click insert, here's sheet 2. Before I make this map static, I want to copy it over onto sheet 2 so that I'm making duplicates of the United States that are positioned perfectly. So from one map to the other, there's no shift in the geometry of anything. So I'm going to left click and hold like I'm fencing something off, and let go when I'm all the way down in this corner, and you'll notice everything's copied. I'm going to Control C, left click on sheet 2, Control V. Try it again. And let's do it a different way. Right click, copy, right click, paste. Okay, it worked out fine that way. Now, what's happened here is that the box, let's move this outside. This box, wait, properties, and let's see here. We're going to send that to the back and pull this over. I don't know what's happening there. This is doing some funky things. Let's try this refresh. Yeah. Okay. So I might have to put another box in there, but that's okay. The legend's there. All right. Let's go back to sheet 1, and just to be consistent, I'll delete that box out of there. Now what I want to do is I want to right click, first highlight, left click, right click, properties. And you see where this says dynamic static? I'm going to left click in the static button and click OK. Now what it's going to do is it's going to convert this into a raster image. Then I'm going to left click right here, right click, convert to graphics. And you'll notice that it got a little bit bigger then. Can't move this. And everything became individual. So I have to move that back up into there. Yeah, gonna get that too. So everything is just a piece of graphic now. And the reason you do that is because otherwise this will change. That's going to be okay. I don't think you can convert that one. Oh. Okay, so this is dynamic now. Sheet 2, or this is static. Sheet 2 is dynamic. How do we know? Let's go to map window 1 and let's do another thematic. So we're going to do, I'm going to first of all collapse this one. I'm going to go to legend and I want to add a thematic legend entry. This time I'm going to go with counties. What I'm going to do is I'll tell you what, let's do a fun one. We'll do cities. Do a range thematic. And let's do, in this instance, annual rainfall. Classify. We're going to do equal count, so we get some variation. Let's do 6 classes will be fine. So it's from 0 to 105. Here's what it looks like. Let's go ahead and double left click on the first item, and we're dealing here with rainfall. So we want light blue to a darker blue, but we're going to keep it fairly light. The point value on this, I'm going to go down to about a 4. And we're going to start with this kind of blue here. Okay, and then the highest value, we're going to go down to up to about, oh, what the heck, maybe 18. And we're going to do that value there. Okay, so we're going to ramp colors, and then we're going to ramp sizes. So that we're going to get a change. Other is 0, so we're not even going to display anything with no rainfall. Or what we could do, there's no counts in them anyways. Fine. Click OK. Ooh, that is nasty. But let's see how it looks in the map window. So go to Window, Layout Window. Yeah, it just covers the earth with that. So let's change the size. Go back into the map window. Double left click on this. I'm going to change that to about a 3 and change this to 9. Ramp sizes. It's still going to probably cover it up. Go into the layout window and refresh. A little bit different. You get the point. I don't like this map. What we could probably do is go in there and fix by adding a transparency to that, but just for the purposes of this demonstration, you can see that now this map has changed. So what we would do here is we can click in here and just highlight this part, get that down to about 14, average temperature, and rainfall by city. And center that. Okay, so we have another map. We would have to fix this legend, so let's left click on the legend, move it outside, and then let's left click to highlight this, insert legend. Now you notice that the other category doesn't appear in here. So let's go back into the map window and see if we can get that to work. Window, layout window. I'm going to delete this. There you go. The reason it didn't show is because we had it. We don't want the labels of states, so I'll just delete that. States is okay. We don't need counties. We don't need interstates. We don't need rivers. We actually don't need states. We're going to get in here again. Properties, font. We have to Times New Roman. Regular, 12 will be fine. Labels, Times New Roman. And regular, but let's make this 8. Actually, we could type a 6 in there. I think it'll go. Click OK. 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 And let's make this small. Now, what seems small in your layout window is not actually that small when you zoom out or print it. So there's that map. So what we would want to do now is, it's still dynamic. What we want to do is we want to right click, insert. So we got a new sheet, come back in here, left click, right click, copy. Go to sheet 3, right click, paste. So now we have all the elements in there. Go back to sheet 2. And what we're going to do here is we're going to left click, right click, map window, properties, change this to static. So there you go, it's now static. And we want to right click on this, properties. Oops, cancel, we got to highlight it. Convert to graphics, and it's going to get funky on us. Then what I have to do is I have to highlight everything. The legend this time. And just push it up. Easier said than done. Okay. There you go. Until we get it right there. Let go. And there you go. Now, you'll notice that there is some distortion when you rasterize this. There's nothing I can do about that, and there's nothing Intergraph is willing to do about that. So that's a dynamic window. That's a static window, and this is a dynamic window. What you might want to do, you can actually rename these sheets. This is add temp, US, add temp. This one's temp and rainfall. and this is your dynamic sheet. Okay, so that's how you create additional sheets in your layout. Now, one thing, as you're moving along, you should be saving your Geo workspace. So we need to save that in our folder. So we go to the C drive and you name it your surname. And you're also supposed to be making screenshots of these, so save. Now, the reason I tell you to save this is because when you're working in layout windows and moving back and forth between layout and map, when you get about 10 layout windows in here, GeoMedia is going to become unstable, and there's a good possibility that it will crash on you. So if you start getting a swirling circle and everything gets foggy, look out. It's ready to crash. And anything that's unsaved will not be saved. You can, you'll have to close it down, and when you reopen, your last save will be there. Anything else will not be there. So in order to avoid that, there are some things you can do. You can actually create more than one map window. It seems to work better if you're adding layouts off of a different map window. So I'm going to go back to map window 1, and I'm going to go to legend, name legend. And you'll see here, I'm just going to call this legend 1. And click OK. All right, so I've saved that. I'm going to fit all in here too. It probably look a little better. There you go. I'm going to go to Window, New Map Window, and here I have the option to select Legend 1. I'm going to left click on Legend 1 and click OK. Now you'll notice I have a brand new map window, and everything that was in Map Window 1 is in Map Window 2, with the exception of this is now floating. The legend is now floating. We can fix that by right-clicking in the white space. In the map window, position legend left. It'll now attach it to the left. And we can pull that over. So that's fixed. And we can view north arrow and view scale bar. You're going to have to go through your entire scale bar again. I'm lazy. This is a demonstration, and I'm not going to do this. So you can also collapse thematics. So as you do thematics, you may have 15 thematics in here. Collapse them each time you do it. Okay. So here's this. I'm going to zoom out once. I'm going to go to my layout window. I'm going to click on sheet 3, and I'm going to right click and insert and go to sheet 4, and I'm going to insert map. Now here, instead of map 1, I'm going to click map 2. I'm going to click by rectangle, click OK. It's going to transport me to map window 2, left click, let go of the left clicker, right click, and if something doesn't look right, if something doesn't appear right away, don't worry about that. That has to do with refresh rates and as much, what you're doing with the memory. So we could do that. There's that. Now, you'll notice it looks better that I did that. If I left click and then right click inside here, I have map zoom in, map zoom out, map zoom previous, map pan, cut copy, some things I can do. Let's do map zoom out by left clicking. Now I have this zoom out, and I can zoom out in the map window. I left click once, and sometimes you have to refresh, or I can left click. Now if I do this, it's only going to zoom in out here, so I have to right click, map zoom in, and I'm going to draw a box around there like that. Let go, and then hit the refresh, and you'll notice it came to what I wanted to do. So suppose I wanted to copy these particular elements in here. The scale bar is not a good idea, but I could copy the label by highlighting it, copy, sheet 4, highlight, paste. Okay, click this, and I'm going to crop that up a little bit. And I have that. So you can add the elements back and forth. Okay, I'm going to window, map window. I don't want a new map window, sorry. Window, and go to map window 1. And we're in here in map window 1. I'm going to turn this off by right click, display off. Let's leave this on. I'm going to do a couple queries yet, and then we're going to be finished with this demo. I'm going to go to Analysis, Spatial Query. Select Features in. I want cities that are within a distance of, and what am I asking you for? 2 miles. 2, change this from meters to miles, of features in, theme states, rivers, and this time we're going to filter. When we left click on filter, we're creating actually an attribute query within a spatial query where river name is equal to Mississippi. Oops. Let's go ahead and show values. Better yet. And type Mississippi. Didn't get past the M. Put it down there. Or, not and, or river name, put it down there again, is equal to, type an A for Allegheny. Allegheny. Okay? Click OK. Let's make these dots LSU purple. No, that's not going to show up. Let's make them blue. A lighter blue. Okay. And click OK. And we want to display it in the map window. And spatial query of cities and rivers is fine. Click OK. And there they are. And we know they're correct if I just push this up above the thematic. There's the river. And guess what? Look at the layout window for sheet 3, and there's your query. How about that? Pretty cool, huh? Go back to map window 1. Now, here's where you can figure out, suppose I wanted the lat and lon of those. I could do this. You notice that we have the readout of longitude, latitude up here. I could just roll to that and get an imprecise reading, because if I just let that go, I could take my pencil and write down the coordinates up here without rolling around. That's not a good deal. Or I could double left click on it, but guess what? Even under the general, it doesn't give me anything about the lat long, so we'll cancel that. So how could we do that another way? Well, what we can do is we go into Analysis, and we're going to Analyze Geometry. Left click. Features to analyze. We're going to go into the queries, and we're going to go Spatial Query of Cities and Rivers. And this is what we can get. Geographic coordinate. So we're going to left click on geographic coordinate, and we're going to left click on units and formats and scroll down to geographic, and it's going to return it in degrees, minutes, and seconds with a thousandths of a second, which is this format we have up here. That's good. Click OK. And the query name would be Geometry Info about Spatial Query of Cities. We don't need to display this in the map window. We just need to display the results in the data window. So we're going to get the geographic coordinate. Click OK. Here's your data window. There's your cities. If you scrolled all the way out, there's your longitude. There's your latitude for those cities. How easy is that? So you can close that, and you would copy them onto here, the name and the latitude and longitude. You notice I put latitude and longitude reverse of how you're going to get it. making things difficult in your life. I think that is everything we need to do for this lab. So I'm going to File, Save Geo Workspace, and I'm going to close this. No. Okay, so this is what's in my folder now. My lab, which you should have typed your answers, theme states, and Miller Lab 4. Just to make sure that you understand that you've saved everything, I'm going to double left click on this, and it should launch and bring us right back to where we were. And it did. Okay, so we know that's saved well. We don't have to resave it. Now what we need to do is go back to the C drive, and we're going to right click on this, and we're going to send it to compressed zipped folder. And there it is. Okay, so there's Miller. We're going to go to the internet, Blackboard, and we're going to go over here, and we're going to go to mail. No, look, I have 6 in my inbox. I'm going to create a message to mail myself because I'm a lonely person. And this is Lab 4. Submission. Type attached. You got to type something in here. Scroll up. Browse. Go to the C drive. Don't try and send me that. Send me that. Open. And submit. It'll upload that and send it to me. Now look at my inbox. There it is. Miller Lab 4 submission. If I click on that, there it is. It's a zip file. Okay. So you see how that's done. Once you do that, I suggest you do one other thing. This is C on Magellan. I'm going to open that tree. And that's actually my machine that I'm working on right now. You know Magellan quite well. I'm going to left click on this and just pull it over to C on Magellan. So it's going to copy that particular file over onto the C drive of my computer, and I'll check to make sure it's going to do that. Okay, let's click on Magellan. There it is, Miller Lab 4. If I look inside there, it should have everything. Good. Okay, go back now, and let's go up to the C drive here, and I've asked you to clean this off. So that file, left click, control, left click, hit the delete button. Yes, those folders are gone. We can close this. Now what we can do is we can start and log off. Close this application, and I'm back on my desktop. I'm going to double left click on my computer, double left click on the C drive. I'm going to look at Miller Lab 4, double left click, and see what it looks like on this particular desktop. There it is, just like in the movies. If I look at the window, look at the layout window, there's the layout windows, all of the layouts. If I look at map window 2, there's map window 2. Close. I don't have to save. So that's good.